Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I decided to share with you guys another holiday themed recipe. What I'm going to be making for you guys today is some colored mithai. And being that it is the holiday season, I'm going to go ahead and add in some red and green as my colored layers. So what I'm going to need to make the mithai today is some all-purpose flour. I am also going to need some freshly grated coconut, and I do have a video on how to open the coconuts and grate them yourself at home. I'll leave the link right up in this frame. I also have some evaporated milk, some unsalted butter, some custard powder, and I have some baking powder, as well as some freshly grated nutmeg. And for my colored layers, I'm going to be using red and green powdered food coloring. Now, if you would like, you could go ahead and use the liquid version, but I'm going to go ahead and use the powdered for this recipe. The first step in making the mithai is to go ahead and make your dough. So what I'm doing here is I've added in my baking powder into my all-purpose flour. I'm going in there with my grated nutmeg now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in all of my butter. And again, I'm using unsalted butter for this. So I'm just going to get that off of there and I'm going to start working the butter into the flour mixture. Now you want to work the butter in until the mixture is very crumbly and almost sandy. So you just want to keep working at it. You can use both hands if you would like. And you could also use one of those pastry cutters to do this step. But I'm just going to go in there with my one hand and I'm going to work in all of that butter. And once I get that worked in, I'm going to show you guys what that looks like. Once you get all of that butter worked in, the mixture should be very sandy and crumbly in appearance. What I'm doing at this point is I'm adding in all of my freshly grated coconut, and then I'm also going to go in with all of the custard powder. And remember, as I said in my last mithai video, the custard powder makes the mithai very nice and soft, and it almost melts in your mouth when you're eating it. That's exactly what you want when you're eating a soft mithai. So I'm just going to go ahead and work that in. You want to make sure you get the coconut evenly distributed throughout that mixture. Okay guys, so the next step is to go ahead and start working with the colored mixtures. So from that big bowl that I had all of my mixture in, I went ahead and I took about a cup to a cup and a half out of that mixture and put it into these two small bowls that you see in the front here. The one in the back has the remaining mixture that I had mixed up. So with the ones in the front, we're going to go ahead and add the color into. Remember, you want more white dough than the colored doughs because the colored doughs are just going to be two thin layers within the middle. So into my one bowl in the front here, I'm going to go ahead and add some red food coloring. And I'm not measuring these food colorings when I'm putting them in. I'm just going by eye here. If you wanted to measure, it'd be about half a teaspoon. So I'm adding in the green into the other one, and then we're going to go ahead and start mixing in our milk to form our dough. What I have here in this bowl is my plain white mixture. Now remember, this is the mixture where I did not add any of that food coloring into. So what I'm doing here is I'm adding in a little bit of the evaporated milk at a time, and I'm going to go ahead and keep working that in until a nice soft dough forms. Now once that soft dough is formed, I'm going to go ahead and move this to the side, and I'm going to go ahead and do the same with the colored dough. So I'm going to do it with the red batch, and I'm going to do it with the green batch. Now once you're done doing that, I'm going to show you guys what to do next. Once you finish mixing in all of that evaporated milk into the three different batches, so your white batch, your red batch, and your green batch, what you're going to want to do is go ahead and take that white batch of dough and you're going to divide it into 4 equal balls, and then you're going to divide the red batch into 2 equal balls, and then the green batch into another 2 equal balls. So that's the evaporated milk that I did have left. I did not use all of it, so depending on where you are, your climate and whatever, you might not use all of that evaporated milk. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start making one set of the dough to show you guys how I layer it. What you're going to want to do is take one of your white balls here and we're going to go ahead and flatten it out as evenly as possible. Now, I'm not using a rolling pin for this because it really isn't necessary. We're not totally flattening this out. We're just going to get it thin enough so this way we could fit the other layers inside. What I'm doing here now is I'm taking that red piece of dough and I'm going to go ahead and flatten that out too. And I want to make it a little smaller than the white piece so this way it's not falling out of the outside of the dough. So I'm going to lie that down onto the white piece and I'm going to press that down so it sticks. And I'm going to do the same with the green ball now. We're going to go ahead and stretch it out with our hands and just press it down. And we're going to get it as evenly as possible so this way the layers are nice and even when you cut through that mithai. So we're going to flatten that out and I'm going to go ahead and lie it right down onto that red layer. And again, you want to go ahead and press that down so they can stick. And then lastly, we're going to do that with the second white layer. We're going to try to make it bigger than the red and green layer, so this way it can fit over the top of them and the sides won't be exposed with all of that color. So I'm going to flatten that out down with my hand again, and I'm going to go ahead and lie it right on top of this batch of dough. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead and pinch the sides, and the reason why you pinch the sides is because you don't want all of that color falling out of the middle when you're going to roll it. You want them to be inside of the dough, so this way when you roll it and cut it, the layers are nice and even throughout. So I'm going to continue pinching this, and then I'm going to go ahead and finish my other set of dough. I'm going to go ahead and put that set together, and then I'm going to show you guys how to roll these out and fry them. What we're going to do now is we're going to roll out our mithai to start cutting them and frying them. So what I did here was I added on some dry flour onto that piece of dough, and then I'm going to go ahead and roll it out as evenly as possible with my rolling pin. Now what we're looking for here is about 1/4 to 1/2 inch thickness. You definitely don't want this too thin because soft mithai is supposed to be very fluffy and soft in the middle. It's not supposed to be crunchy. So I'm going to roll it as evenly as possible. I'm going to get the sides as well as the middle. And you guys may also notice that all of that color is staying on the inside of the mithai. It's not bleeding out like I didn't want to happen before. So I'm going to continue rolling that out, and I'm going to show you guys what to do next. Once you've gone ahead and rolled out your dough as evenly as possible, I'm going to go in with my pizza cutter and I'm going to cut the mithai dough into strips. Now if you didn't have a pizza cutter, you could go ahead and use a knife for this. It would work perfectly as well. Now after I cut out these strips, I'm going to go ahead and cut them into little triangle shapes or diamond shapes depending on your preference. And I just wanted to show you guys that middle layer. Look at that beautiful red and green layer running throughout the middle. Once you finish cutting all of your pieces of mithai, you're going to want to go ahead and put them into your hot oil. So I'm using vegetable oil and I've heated it up at a medium-high heat, and I'm going to go ahead and do this in batches. Now the reason why I'm going to add them in batches is because I don't want the oil's temperature to decrease a lot, because if it does, then the mithai pieces can become very saturated with the oil and then they'll be very soggy, and it's just really not good. So I'm going to go ahead and add all of these pieces into the oil. And while they're in the oil, you want to go ahead and move them around with your spoon every once in a while, so this way they get a nice even brown coating on the outside. And I'm going to allow them to fry for about 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, and then I'm going to take them out when they're nice and they're golden brown. My mithai has been frying in my oil for exactly 3 minutes now, and I just wanted to show you guys that beautiful golden brown color that they have now. So I'm going to go ahead and take them out of my oil, and I'm going to put them in my bowl that I've lined with paper towel. What that paper towel is going to do is it's going to drain off that excess oil on the outsides. So I'm going to go ahead and continue frying the rest of my mithai, and then I'm going to go ahead and start making the sugar syrup or the pag for the mithai. Once you finish frying all of your mithai pieces, you want to go ahead and set those aside and start making the pag or the sugar syrup that you're going to coat the mithai in. So in my pan here, I have some sugar and water, and I have it on a medium-high heat. And once this comes up to a boil, I'm going to keep stirring and allow it to boil for about 8 to 10 minutes. And then I'm going to show you guys what it looks like when it's ready to go ahead and start tossing over the mithai. Sugar syrup has been boiling here for exactly 9 minutes on a medium-high heat. And the way that I know that my sugar syrup is done is I usually take a little bowl like I've done here, and I put a few pieces of the mithai in, and I go ahead and spoon some of that sugar syrup on. I stir it continuously, and if it turns white as it's done here, then you know that sugar syrup is done. I've gone ahead and I've transferred all of these mithai pieces into a really large bowl, so this way they could have space while I toss them in that sugar syrup. And once you're done testing out your sugar syrup, you're going to pour it all over these pieces of mithai, and you just want to keep stirring until it turns nice and crystallized on the outside. Now in order for that sugar syrup to crystallize, you have to keep moving it. So this is going to take some arm work here. You're going to have to work pretty hard for your mithai. So once it turns crystallized and it's hard all over the outside of the mithai, then you know it's done. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video today. Please go ahead and give this recipe a thumbs up. Please go ahead and subscribe to my channel and comment down below on what you guys would like me to make next. Once again, this is the last Christmas recipe that I have for you guys for this holiday season. I hope you guys have a great one and eat lots of food. Please comment down below and tell me how you guys' holiday season was. Once again, thanks for watching, everyone.